don't create a course. It will not bring you any closer to your goal. And look, I get it. I was in your position exactly 2 years ago. I was watching a lot of videos about people saying, oh yes, passive income this, passive income that. And it sounds great. Yeah, okay, cool. I can just make a course and then I get passive income. I can make it once and then I can set it like 1,000 times or maybe more. And I can get money while I sleep. But that isn't how things work. Especially when you're just starting out. Because I created many different courses and I see other people wanting to create courses or actually creating courses. But what happens is they build a course that they think is really great, and yeah, sure, maybe it is good, but what starts to happen is when they try to sell it, nobody buys it and it completely flops. Then what do? They just have an idea for another course, for example. But this is a trap, and I call it the passive income trap. And the best way to go about it is as following, because there is this I will make a graph, and this is basically the leads, and this is the scalability. The leads and the scalability. When you're just starting out, then you don't have any leads yet. Like, the reason why you think a course works is because you look at all of the big creators who are making a course, but they have a huge YouTube channel and they have a lot of leads coming in. And then it is with a lot of leads, they are able to make it more scalable. Because like, if only a small percentage of people, like even 1% of the people, of the leads that they get will transform, but like, if they have 1 million people who are clicking the link, and if 1% of them converts, then it is still a lot of money for them, right? But when you're just starting out, you don't have any leads, and of course it isn't as attractive, especially if you don't have any proof yet, if you don't know what you're doing, and that is likely the case if you haven't had a few clients yet, because we always think we are the shit, but then once we start finally doing things and helping people, then we think, oh, maybe this part can be optimized, maybe this part can be optimized. And this is basically like the graph. When you don't have a lot of leads, you need to do very unscalable work. And eventually, once you get more leads, you can make it more scalable, right? So if you don't have any leads yet, you're just starting out, then you don't need to do like the unscalable work like courses, because the scalability is more like how attractive it is. The more scalable something is, the less attractive it is, and the less scalable it is, the more attractive it is, because you have multiple variations that you can do, multiple offers that you can do. You have done for you work. That means you're basically doing work for someone, so for somebody else, so that they don't have to do it, they can save a lot of time and you just do it. That is really attractive. But is it scalable? No. But if you don't have any leads, then you need to make it less scalable and more attractive. So let's write it down here. Yes. So 1 second. I need to think about this. Never mind. Like, I want to draw 2 graphs. First is the one we already had, the leads and the scalability. And here is the the attractiveness. Attractive and scalable. So, like we talked about, in the leads, first the scalability. When you don't have a lot of leads, you need to do the unscalable work, right? In here, it's the other way around. Because first, you have to start with something that is really unattractive, but that is, like first you have to start with something that is really attractive, but not very scalable, right? And that is first, this might be done for you work. Like I said, because this is great because somebody else doesn't have to do it. And this, to make it more attractive, it isn't scalable, but it is the done for you work. Here, when you don't have a lot of leads, you have to start maybe with done for you work, because you don't have a lot of leads yet, so it isn't really scalable yet. Then eventually, when you go down here, and this might be done with you, coaching for example, then here is like a cohort, and then here is like a course. Because done for you work is very attractive, but it's not really scalable. You're literally doing work for them. Done with you is a bit less attractive, but it is a bit more scalable because then you're teaching somebody how to do it. But you're still spending a lot of time one-on-one with calls to actually help people. Then eventually, to make it more scalable but even less attractive, is a cohort. To the consumer, this will be less attractive because they get less personalized attention, etc. Then eventually a course, and course for a consumer is not very attractive, but it is very scalable. So when you don't have a lot of leads, you need to start with done for you. When you have a bit more leads, you can start with coaching, and then the cohort, and then the course. But this depends on how many leads you get. Because if you don't get any leads yet, then why worry about making a course? Because it is not attractive. So a lot of people won't buy. So this is basically what you have to keep in mind. Start with the unscalable work if you don't have a lot of leads. And then the more leads you get, the more scalable you can make it. Okay, cool. Now, and this is basically the product evolution that a lot of people go through. This is the last thing that I want to share about it. First, you start with coaching. For example, like if you literally don't have any proof, have any leads, yeah, start with the done for you work, but it is horrible. It is very unscalable, right? So eventually you want to go do coaching, because what I'm going to talk about now is like how you can deliver like a good product. And the product is not like a service that you will do for something, but literally like a product. So first you start with coaching, you start with one-on-one helping people. Then what you start to notice is there will be first gaps in your knowledge, things you haven't talked about because somebody has a bottleneck, a client of yours, and you don't know how to solve it. Well, then you need to expand, you need to learn many more things on how to solve that bottleneck, right? And this will happen a lot in the beginning, that clients will come to a bottleneck with you and you don't know how to solve it. You can either ask a mentor of it, or you can research something, but this will happen a lot. It will discover more gaps in your knowledge as well, and you will start to see patterns. When you make your first program, so your coaching must be a program on how to achieve a certain result. Let's say, for example, you help people to basically get their first client, right? If that is your offer, then first you're going to do coaching, and then if you have gotten like 20 clients in total, you will start to discover patterns. Oh, this is something that nobody actually uses, so you can remove it. And remember, with this, less is more, because the easiest way how to get someone like really bad results is to overwhelm them. You're not overwhelming them with value, you are just overwhelming them. So try to make it as compact as possible, and less is always more. This is the essence of quality. Like the more you can remove while still conveying the same message and while still having the same impact, and that is the meaning of quality. So if you coach like 20 clients and you start to see patterns, oh, this works for nobody, so I can remove it, and this works for everyone, so I make that a part of my program. When you have coached 20 clients, then it is more solidified and you know what you're doing by then. Then what you can do is transition to a cohort, because once you worked with 20 clients, you have a pretty solid understanding of the program, what you're walking them, what works, what doesn't work. So then you can make it a bit more scalable by not helping one-to-one, but helping one-to-many. Cohort is like basically group coaching, but then you are helping like 10, 20, 50 people all at once. And then that means you don't have to explain the same things over and over again. You can just say the same thing to a group of people, and like you can help them in a group of people. For you it is a lot more scalable, but only do this when you are running out of time with the coaching. So if you have between 10 to 20 clients, it is probably good to transition to a cohort, because every client, when you're doing coaching, and it is weekly calls and also messaging support through Telegram, every client will take you about 2 hours, something like that, per week. If you do, for example, if you have 20 clients, that means 40 hours a week. That is basically a whole work week. But delivery is not the only thing you have to do, because you also need to attract new leads, and you also need to have a funnel to convert the leads. So if you are spending 40 hours on the delivery, 20 hours on the attraction, 20 hours on the conversion, that is where things start to break. Then you basically work 2 full-time jobs. So when you are helping between 1 to 20 people, it is probably best to transition to a cohort to make it a lot more scalable, because then you can do 3 calls a week, for example, and you can help all people in like the messaging support. You can batch that also, like maybe make a community, for example. But this is what starts to happen. Then based on these 2 things, you will start to get more proof. You will first start to help more clients, and because you are helping more clients, you are getting more feedback, and because you get more feedback, then your product becomes better, because you keep iterating it, and because your products get better, then your clients get better results, and because your clients get better results, then you get more proof, and more proof means that more people will get attracted to your brands, and you will have more clients, and this is like a repeated cycle. So this is basically like how it works. If you have more clients, then it will turn into more feedback, or sorry, yeah, you will get more feedback, and that will turn into a better product, and that better product will turn into eventually the better results. And that better results will turn into more proof, and better proof, and that better proof will turn into more clients. So this is like the self-fulfilling prophecy, basically, because if you get more clients, you get a better product. If you get a better product, you get better results. If you get better results, more proof, and then it repeats itself over and over again. And eventually you will start to get a lot more leads. And like we discussed previously, once you get more leads, then you can make it more scalable. So you can transition from a coaching to a cohort. You can film the material that you are saying in the cohort. So the product is still the same, right? But for this and this, only the delivery mechanism it changes. And once you have a lot of proof, once your YouTube channel, for example, or your community has gotten a lot of people, then eventually you can transition it to a course. You can eventually transition it to a course, because by here, this is exactly the same product. The coaching, the cohort, and the course. It is exactly the same thing. You are helping people get their first client. Only the delivery mechanism, it is changing. But if you don't have this, if you don't have a lot of proof, if you don't have a lot of leads, then starting here would be like, it would be dumb. It would be dumb. So this is how you basically go about it. You do first coaching, the more leads you get, the more proof you have, the better it gets. Then you transition to a cohort. Once you do a few cohorts, for example, and you really solidify, you have a lot of proof and the leads are coming in consistently, then eventually you can transition to a course. This is the way to go about it, not the other way around. You don't start with a course, you end with a course. And that probably means that for a few years you must do very unscalable work. But that is okay, because the most important trait of successful people is delayed gratification. You will end here, but that will be in a few years from now. So don't think in months, don't think in weeks, don't think in months, sometimes not even in years, like think in a decade. If it takes 5 to 10 years to build the business of your dreams and to get to this state where you can get passive income and where you can just chill out for the rest of your life, then that is okay. We are building the life of our dreams. And if we just have to sacrifice 5 years of hard work for it, then I would do it every lifetime, basically. So yeah, keep this in mind. Don't start with the course, end with it, and good luck. Bye.